How's it going? Jake here again. It's time to finally start digging into the engine. That was graceful. But anyway, gonna go ahead and start off, pull all the plugs out. Pretty sure they're brand new, but regardless, gonna get them out, put a little of the good stuff in there, and try to lubricate up the cylinders before I start messing with it. Now, if I remember right, when I picked it up, it turned free and everything, but it really doesn't hurt after it's been sitting so long to get some oil running through it. So I'll go ahead and pour the Marvel Mystery Oil in, and I'm gonna let it sit for a while. Then I'm gonna come back out here, bar it over, and probably pour a little more in, just for good measure. Once that's all done, I'll go ahead and drain out the oil, get all that out, and get fresh oil in it. So I guess let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so I've had this sitting for a few hours now, and gonna go ahead and turn it over and see if anything comes out. I'm assuming by now it all slipped past the rings and it's in the oil pan, but we'll see. Oh yeah, and this thing's got a ginormous crank bolt, so I had to get out old Reliable to get it to turn over, but it's not stuck or anything, so at least not that I remember, so it shouldn't be a big deal. Just gotta find it. Oh yeah, we're turning. Okay. It's much easier with a socket and a ratchet, but make do with what you got, I guess, huh? A good turn there. See if the fan belt will take it even. Oh yeah. That's what you like to see. Oh yeah, pumping some fluid out. The starter dragging or something. But yeah, either way, no, this thing's nice and happy. Doesn't feel too stiff at all. A few more cranks this way. Starter makes, or at least I think that's the starter making that dragging noise, but it makes less noise that way. So, yeah. Probably stick with turning it that way. But yeah. Alright, well, that turned out good. So I'll go ahead and lube up the cylinders some more. Alright, now that that's taken care of, I'll go ahead and let it sit for a while again and then drain the oil next. Alright, let's go ahead and get this drained. There we go. Well, there's definitely oil in it. Alright, I've had this thing dripping for a while now, so go ahead and put the plug back in, if it'll go. up tight. Alright, let's go ahead and get it filled up with oil again. I don't know exactly how much it's supposed to take. I was researching it and I couldn't figure out if it was 4 or 5, so I'm gonna start with 4. And worst case, it's only a quart low. Alright, we'll call that good on oil for now. Alright, now I'll go ahead and use my trusty gasket scraper to try to clean up the surface a little more. It's like it had 2 gaskets on it, or maybe this is some sort of spacer? Huh. I don't know about that. Well, that's interesting. I'll have to look into if I need this or not. They got some sort of interesting spacer, it looks like. Yeah, so I'll look more into that. Get a little degreaser. Try to get the top stuff. Do my best from pushing stuff into the engine, but we'll see. Oh, another gasket. It's not too surprising. This one's real thin. There we go. Grease it on that real quick. And we'll call that surface cleaned. So I'll go ahead and get the fuel pump installed for good now, hopefully. Nothing tougher than trying to put these bolts in. Fuel pump's always stuck because they got that spring load on the cam. I guess if I really wanted to, I could turn the engine to get the least amount of load on the fuel pump diaphragm lever, but nah, come on. That'd just make too much sense. The only unfortunate part is no matter where I put my hands, there isn't enough room to move anything. So hopefully I can get her done with a ratchet. Hey, I did not want to make these easy to put on. So now I just gotta hopefully not cross thread it here. Doesn't look like I am. I believe it's installing. It may just be spinning. No, we're installing. Tighten this one up one last time. Nothing too crazy, but make sure it's tight. All right, so fuel pump's installed. All right, time to get this whole Carburetor carb setup off. So I can switch it with the slant 6, the old Holly 1920, and yeah, hopefully keep that going. Oh, looks like it's got a nut on the back side. My hope is to get this whole carburetor and manifold doohickey off in one swing. Should be doable if this cooperates a little. That might be enough.
Maybe not.
There we go. Oh, move to this linkage pin. Get this disconnected and out of the way. This cotter pin is fighting, but that's to be expected. All right, so we're removed there. Put that pin back in just so I don't lose it. If I can get it back in. There we go. Now I gotta get this spring off. Alright, now hopefully just these two top ones at the manifold, and that'll do it. There we go. All right, there's that. Well, I went ahead and took the carburetor off my slant 6. You know, 1920. It's a little dirty, but tried fitting it up to the car or to the Jeep, and unfortunately it doesn't fit. So thought I was gonna have it easy there, getting a new carburetor on there, but looks like I'll have to do some research and either find something or buy something and go from there. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and start ripping out the old coil, and I take the old starter out. So I ended up getting a new starter off the internet. Just figure I'll be hanging on to this thing for a while. So hopefully no issues there. I'll just shelf this one for now. Top off the solenoid, signal wire. Should have just grabbed the right wrench, but figured I could knock it loose with pliers, but you know, I'm not rewiring this, I'm just gonna cut it. Alright, that's cut. Power wires out of the way. So yeah, starter's ready to come out. So let me do that real quick. That might be a 5/8. One below's even bigger. Needless to say, I was not expecting that. start. It's turning. Yeah, I don't know if that's stock. That's a really big bolt. It's kind of silly. I hope it's not. If it is, it's gonna be hard to get the new starter in. Okay, it was a nut, not a bolt. That makes sense. Okay, now the starter should just pop right out. Oh yeah, she's heavy. She is. Not in bad shape, honestly. It's probably a good one. Alright, now I'm just gonna get this coil removed. Start on the back side. What the hell is that? I'm getting electrocuted? Is this coil live somehow? I mean, there's no battery hooked up. Yeah, I think I'm getting electric. Well, I'm an antifreeze hole. Good thing it's on gravel, I guess. Jeez. It's a stud, but made it all the way to the very end, but you know, couldn't just keep spinning off. I had to bring the stud out. But it's the way it goes, I guess. Oh, good thing I have gloves on. Can't believe that's still leaking out. Good thing it's green. Guess I should have looked in the drain on that before. It's a little ridiculous, if you ask me. Alright. Set old throttle return spring. See if maybe I can get lucky, and nope. A few more turns, and maybe, just maybe, I can get it to shift over enough to let me slip a socket on there. Ugh. It's one of those things in your head's a 2-minute job. But when you go to do it and everything fights you, it takes a wee bit longer. Oh, a few wires hooked up here too. I'm gonna wait, honestly. You don't have any room, unfortunately. No wonder they're not off on that side. Coil, replacing this with a 3 ohm coil, so it has slightly more resistance, so that I can run the new electronic ignition I got. I'll show that off a little later. But yeah, with the 3 ohm coil. It gives me the correct like caliber, like the gives me the correct resistance that they set it up for, and allows me to get rid of the ballast resistor right there. Which, with as much as I'll be throwing this around and everything, I'd rather not. Just have it all solid state. But yeah, it's the old coil and bracket. I'll probably clean the bracket up and reuse it, but that's that. Well, I ended up finding the correct carburetor that I need. It's a Autolite 1100. It's like a Ford carburetor off of a mid-60s, like a Falcon or something, like a 170 inline 6. But anyway, it's got that same flange, as well as it's like shorter than the factory carburetor for this engine. So it'll actually fit under the hood without me having to stick that bulge in it. So I can get rid of that. I've actually got the carburetor in, but I'm waiting on a wood spacer. Like I need one of those phenolic wood spacers to basically give it a little bit of clearance past that lip on the valve cover, as well as some room with those, like, whatever this stuff is. I guess I could grind it a little if I wanted, but I don't really want to. But I should have enough room to not have any issues adding a 1/4-inch spacer to it. But so waiting on that to come in. So in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and start tearing out the old radiator and stuff and get the old water pump off. Because another thing I want to do is I found that this right here is part of the old push rod cover gasket. It's shot, so I got another one, but I got to pull that off. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to pull the fan, and I got a couple other things in that box aside, minus the radiator hoses, that I'm going to sandblast and paint black and just get them looking decent. You know, I'm in here, might as well do it. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Oh, I need a bucket. Well, I forgot it'd be kind of hard to bucket, so I'm using my old oil drain pan. All the oil's out of it, of course, already. But let's see if it'll actually catch anything, or if it'll all just splash out. I'm gonna put my knees up on the bumper, get my feet off the ground, hopefully keep them dry. I'd say most of it's going in. Yeah, this might be the hardest side to get off. I should just cut these. It's not like I'm reusing them. Just grab my knife. Let's see what I got here. Yeah, use a box cutter. That's smart. I wasn't being serious. Don't use a box cutter. Don't be a dummy. Alright. That's the end of that. Take off this top bolt. So yeah, you can probably see it on the camera, but there's a rod that runs from the firewall all the way to the radiator that acts as a top support. And this one's pretty janked together, and I've got one coming in, but it's on back order, so I may just end up building one. Got a lot of old shafts and stuff at work, but laying around like weld up, but hopefully it'll come in. I like being lazy. It's easier to just buy stuff than it is to build it a lot of times, I'll be honest with you. If you can afford it, it saves you a lot of time. Okay, gotta move the steering a little. This thing does not steer good. Because I haven't really steered it much. Maybe that is just about all it's got though. Not much steering angle on this thing, but it is a really short wheelbase, so maybe it doesn't need it. And it's old and four-wheel drive. Alright, now a little bit of persuasion, I should be able to get this out. And I actually stand between the bumper and the grill to use it as both a way to get directly over it and as support to keep me from falling on my ass when I yank it out and want to fall. Come on. There we go. Boom. All right, time to get the water pump off. Should just be the one bolt left right here. I should probably loosen up that fan belt. Now this one actually goes through the water pump, so I can feel it in here. Although there's like a little tunnel. And that's good for flow. Should be all the bolts. Get that out of my way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got a hammer I'm gonna use. There she goes. Probably gonna lose more antifreeze here, so I should put that in the bucket. Try to strategically place that bucket underneath. Yeah, catching most of it. A little rusty, but not too bad. Yeah, it's a little gross, but it's been sitting a long time. You gotta remember that. A lot of this is probably loose. No, not really. Blame that on sitting a long time, but I'm replacing it anyway. The rest of the block doesn't look too bad or anything. Put that off. Sweet. Alright, well I was able to get my new carburetor all fitted up and it fits and everything. Throttle operates. It's gonna have a heck of a lot of engineering to do to get everything to all work right, but it's a start. Should be able to at least see if it runs. So now I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect the wires off that generator and get the starter installed. Now with the starters on, I'm gonna get the old distributor off. See at least where the rotor's pointing towards the engine or towards the firewall. So I'll try setting up the new one that way. I don't know what difference it'll make, but maybe something. I'm not exactly sure where top dead center is on this engine, so initially getting it to start might be a little bit of a fight, just because the timing will be off. Maybe I'll get it right. Ditching the old points distributor in favor of a new electronic. Here's the new distributor. Alright, I'm gonna get the coil reinstalled now. Putting on a Protronix 3 ohm coil. 3 ohm coil as opposed to the stock 1.5. So that basically allows me to eliminate the ballast resistor without creating any voltage issues. I needed to lower the coil or raise the coil up in the bracket a bit to give the starter solenoid some clearance. Alright, needed to switch to a ratchet. That was getting old. Alright, now that the coil's on, I'm gonna just kind of half put on the distributor wiring for now. Now I'm also gonna have to run a 12 volt power source to the positive side of the coil to trigger the distributor and everything, so I'm not gonna worry about torquing that side down for now. But yeah, it's easy as that. Black wire to the negative, red wire to the positive. And now I just need to run a 12 volt line from positive side of the battery to the solenoid there, and then a signal 12 volt. Probably just use a wire, I'll hit off that, and then a switched 12 volt source to that. That's all it'll take to run it. Well, I went ahead and put a new battery terminal on the ground. It's got continuity and everything, so shouldn't be any issues there. And then I also put together a new power cable, as well as a temporary switched ignition source. So once I have this connected and put together a little signal wire for the solenoid, I should have everything I need for it to turn over. Yeah, I put together the wire for the 12 volt signal to the solenoid, so once I get this hooked up, it should be able to turn over. Alright, now that that's hooked up, let's give it a try, see what happens. Well, turns over, that's for sure. There's not currently any spark plugs in it, so that's why it's so easy. So I'd say that's the next step, plugs and wires. Let's go ahead and get the spark plugs in. Alright, now let's see how it sounds with some compression, how it turns over. Okay, we're getting somewhere finally. Alright, now I got the plugs in, I went ahead and put the spark plug wires on. And I think I've got the rotor pointed where I want, and that this should be number 1. But I guess time will tell here quick. So it's 1, 3, 4, 2. And so now we'll give it a little fuel and see if it fires up. Got some fuel in the carburetor. I'm pouring it down the breather tube so that it gets into the carburetor bowl and fills that up. Looks like most of it's getting in there. Since I don't have any fuel lines hooked up or anything, I'm going to try to fill it up as much as I can. Whatever I pour in now is all it's getting. Alright. Call that good. Looks like I might even be leaking out the top a little. Looks like I got fuel squirting in there. Hasn't been ran in a long time, so we'll put more than enough fuel in there because it's probably a little dry. So now that that's on, we'll see what happens. We'll flip the ignition on. Contact. Find our signal wire and cross our fingers, I guess. Uh-oh. Okay, we got spark. It's a little too advanced, but we're in the right direction. All right, played around with the timing a little, put some fuel in it, put a little more in, and get it to run. Ignition on, and oh, she's right there. Ignition's on. More fuel. There it is. Ain't much, but that was running. Sounds decent. Well, it's definitely got a vacuum leak. No use destroying it right away. So I'll figure that out, but hey, that's a victory. We'll call that running. All right, now that it's running, or sort of running, at least fire's over. Keep watching for more, and hopefully sooner than later you'll see it driving.